Okay guys, so you want to lift your Miata with a 4Runner strut. So there's a few things you gotta be careful of. So I'll show you in this video real quick. As you can see right here, I got a few 4Runner struts, 14-inch spring, and some top hats. As you can see right here, this is the same exact part number. This is the FCS 336341. They're both the same part number, but they're actually quite different. As you can see, this is a one piece right here, and there's a lip that has a slant right here, and it's all metal. Now with this version right here, it's all in one piece, but it has this spacer that has that slant to fit the spring. But what we're looking for is for it to be flat. So what we have to do is remove this little spacer thing right here. So now you can seat the spring without it being tilted like on the wrong angle. As you can see, my spring are completely flat on the bottom and the top. So but the bad part about it is that when you put the spring in there, it flops all over the place. See that? So to prevent that from happening, what I did was 3D printed the spacer right here that goes on inside the strut, and that prevents the spring from flopping all over the place, and it fits perfectly just like that. See? And now that is fixed. So make sure when you do purchase this, to make sure you purchase the one with the two piece right here instead of the one piece like that one. Make sure it's the two piece. And now looking at the top hat, as you can see, this is the NB top hat. It's perfect for the spring. Do not get an aftermarket top hat like this. I thought it would work, but it's actually better to use the stock one. The reason for that is because the stock one has a lip right here for where the spring can seat on it, so it doesn't like move out of there, you know what I mean? You could also use the isolator for it. It should be fine. There you go. And it fits perfectly. And now to fit the OEM top hat onto the new strut, you have to modify a little bit to make it to work. First thing you have to do is to modify the stopper. So this hole right here has to be enlarged a little bit to where it fits through the top portion of the strut, and it should stop right here. So make sure you don't over drill it more than this part right here. It should sit something like that. See where it stopped. Now you can put the isolator in. It's going to be hard to try to do this one hand. There you go. Isolator in. And now you could put your top hat with the isolator on, kind of like so. Like so. And put the new bushing isolator in there. This one's worn out, as you can see. And lastly, you have to drill the hole for this top bolt, spacer right here. And now you can finally bolt the whole thing down like so. So those are the modifications you need to do for it to work. All right, so here's the shock fully assembled with the Miata top hat. As you can see right here, my bushing is kind of worn out, so I got to replace that. Other than that, everything fits perfectly. Here's the spacer that I was 3D printed earlier, and should fit perfectly in the car. Okay, now you can see the comparison between the two shocks. The one on the bottom is the Nissan shock, and the one on top is the stock Miata shocks. It's a good about 2 to 3 inch longer, and should have a little bit more travel, a little bit more lift with the Nissan shock. Okay, so here's the shock fully installed. As you can see, it fits perfectly, lines up perfectly. And if you want to install the Nissan shock, make sure you remove the PACO kit on the rear. You can install this on the front, but not on the back. So make sure you remove that. Otherwise, you're going to have a huge lift there. It's ridiculous lift. But if you remove that PACO kit from the rear, you should be fine. All right, so the 4Runner shock is in. It's in the rear only and not the front. The front, I feel like it's already perfect. All I need was the PACO lift kit for the front and the stock shock, and it works perfectly. The spring rate for the front is perfect from the factory. As you can see, there's a nice gap on there, which is kind of even out with that gap. That's with the fender flare, of course. And I feel like the stock shock and spring from the factory, it was a little too soft for the Miata. It looks right when there's no weight in the car, but as soon as you sit in it, it will sag. That's the reason why I upgraded to the 4Runner shocks. And it's only on the back. As you can see, it's perfect. The softest spring I could find is a 175-pound spring, which is perfect for this. It kind of levels everything out, and it looks perfect. But overall, pretty happy with the shocks and spring from the 4Runner. Looks good. And let's look at the back axle. The car does have a subframe drop. As you can see, the arm are straight and the axle are straight, so it won't damage your axle. I recommend it. I do have the video on doing the subframe drop on my YouTube channel. If you'd like to watch that, go ahead and go to the Hyperspeed Media YouTube channel. You can see how to install the subframe drop. But overall, I really like the 4Runner shocks and spring. So subscribe to the channel.
ハイパースピードメディア